I'm Mark. This is my April review for Taurus Sun sign and Taurus rising. This is going to be a good month for you, Taurus, for several reasons. One being that the Sun will move into your sign towards the end of the month, and that there will also be 3 conjunctions with Uranus, who's sitting in your sign at the moment. Well, on the first of the month, the Sun makes 2 positive aspects, which is good. The first is to Saturn in your 10th house of career or chosen path. Now this is good because you'll be able to fine-tune yourself and do very detailed work, and you're very organised and disciplined to get on with things. And by doing this, you might get noticed for people in higher authority. Then on the same day, we have the Sun making an aspect to the Moon's nose. Now the Moon's nose are across your 2nd and 8th house, which are the financial houses. So there could be some good news or some messages that come through regarding finances that will take you forward. Then on the 2nd, there's an aspect between Mercury and Pluto. Now Pluto's in your 9th house of belief. So this is a time with Mercury in your 12th house that you may want to dig into things and look deeper than just the surface, and see what is the truth of things. Things that you discover today may change your beliefs. So keep digging and try and uncover things that matter to you. We just spoke about the Sun aspect and Saturn and the Moon's nose. Well, they make their own contact on the 4th. So this will amplify what we've already been talking about, and also it will help to lift and ease restrictions and limitations. Now, there's been a lot of this over the last year, so hopefully this is a good sign that things will start to change. Then on the 5th, Venus joins in the equation, because she aspects Mars, and Mars is in your 2nd house of finances, so things are looking up, and it's a positive aspect. So you can have the attracting power of Venus now in that 2nd house of finances and possessions. The other thing this will do is boost your creativity. It will boost your creativity. It's good for relationships, and it's also very good for balancing things, balancing giving and receiving. Now Venus is in your 12th house, so she might be a little bit overpowered by Mars in the 2nd, but just use that Venus to balance things out. On the 6th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Ceres, with planetary between Mars and Jupiter. Now Ceres represents nurturing, and this is in your 12th house of the unconscious. So you could have feelings coming up from within where you suddenly feel that you want to nurture or protect friends or family, so you'll know where this is coming from. Also, with Ceres in this Aries sign, it's a good time to work on creative projects behind the scenes because it's 12th house. And it's also a good time to look at your independence and your self-reliance, and maybe you need to do some work in that area. Then on the 8th, there's a difficult aspect because Mars makes a square to Neptune. Neptune's in your 11th house, so this is going to make you unrealistic. You know, this is a time when you could easily set unrealistic or dreamy goals. This is a time when you won't have your feet firmly on the ground, because Neptune puts a fog around things. So the Mars energy will not be as vibrant and as driven as usual. Mars is also in your 2nd house finances, so it's not a good time to do any financial planning or starting any financial projects at this time. Mars in Gemini has scattered energy as it is, and with the fogginess from Neptune as well, we've got 4 days when you probably just need to chill out. You'd be better off putting some energy into some spiritual pursuits like meditation, so that it keeps your mind focused. On the 9th and 10th, Mercury makes 3 aspects. The first is to Chiron, the 2nd to Saturn on the 10th, and then the 3rd to the Moon's nose. So what does this mean? Well, Mercury's in your 12th house, so there's going to be messages, feelings, maybe dreams coming through from the unconscious. The unconscious is trying to tell you what you need to do. And with the Saturn aspect, you will be able to analyse this, criticise this, and see where you need to make changes. Chiron will help with the healing. And with Chiron and Mercury, it's good to write things down. If you write things down, that helps the healing process. And then with the 3rd aspect to the Moon's nodes, this will give you a boost in your mental faculties, and again this will encourage more messages to come through. Then on the 10th there's a fantastic aspect between your ruler Venus and Jupiter. Now Jupiter's in your 10th house, so this may affect your career or your chosen path, and there could be some beneficial opportunities for you now to advance. On the 11th we have a positive aspect between the Sun and Mars. Now the Sun's in your 12th house and Mars is in your 2nd house of finances, so this would be an ideal time to work behind the scenes on something that could improve your financial situation, or any project that will require a lot of energy. This lasts for 6 days, so you need to tune into this energy and use it well. Also on that day Venus makes a square aspect to Pluto, and this will form an intensity of emotions coming up within you. Also Pluto in your 9th house may be time to look at your beliefs in people and relationships, maybe, because Venus is about relationships, or maybe how power affects you. Have a look at these things and see where you can make changes. On the 12th we have a new moon. This new moon's in Aries, so this is going to be a little bit of a conflict for you, Taurus, because Aries is your 12th house. Now the new moon in Aries means initiation, means getting on, starting new things, doing new things. But in the 12th house it's more about being withdrawn, being more quiet and reflective. It's about reviewing things and finding out where you can gain some kind or some form of emotional satisfaction. It also makes you more sensitive. It's a very sensitive moon for you, and you'll have more empathy and understanding of others. You may even want to feel like you need to help others. So just be aware that there is this conflict. Some parts of you may be an urge to push forward, but then other parts of you may want to withdraw. On the 14th and 15th we have two very positive aspects to Jupiter. The first from Sun on the 14th, which lasts for 4 days, and the second from Mars on the 15th, which lasts for 5 days. It's a very positive period. Mars is in your 2nd house of finances, and Jupiter's in your 10th house of career. There's a good chance now to advance in your career and maybe get a pay rise or more money. The other thing about Jupiter in the 10th is that it's to do with your public standing. So it's now a good time for you to get on with authority figures and you can be noticed. Then the other area effects would be your destiny or your chosen path. There could be alterations here. But to progress, you need to start putting the pieces together. It's like doing a big jigsaw puzzle. You need to get the pieces and put them in the right place so you start to see a picture. You start to see this unfold in front of you. Then you know where you're going and what you're aiming for. The other piece of good news on the 15th is that your ruler, Venus, moves into your sign. And she'll soon be followed by the Sun and Mercury. So we'll have 3 planets in your sign, and they're all going to conjunct Uranus over the next few weeks. So there's some exciting times ahead. On the 16th, your progress may be tested. The Sun makes a square aspect to Pluto, and this can be very challenging. This could also involve power struggles, so there may be some test or challenge on this day that you need to overcome to carry on with your plans. The other thing about this aspect is a good time to purge, get rid of things that you don't need anymore or that are going to be no use in the future. Then on the next day, Mercury has 3 aspects, and it's a very busy mental day, a day of communications and discovering things, understanding things. It's like you need to now understand whereabouts you actually are. You've done some planning, you've done some work over the last few weeks. Now you need to take stock and understand where you are and exactly where you are going, and make sure that this is all in line, because after this test from Pluto you may need to just make some fine adjustments. On the 18th and in fact the 19th, you'll feel quite low. Your vitality will be greatly reduced. This is because the Sun comes together with Mercury. Yeah, that's good, but it's in Aries and it's at 29 degrees. And when planets are at 29 degrees, they are weakened. They can't wait to get into the next sign. They're their power is drained away at 29 degrees. So you need to wait until the 20th, which is the Tuesday, when the Sun and Mercury move into your sign of Taurus. Then you will benefit, you'll reap the benefits of them in your sign. But on the 18th, your vitality will be low, you'll be withdrawn, and you won't feel like doing much. So it's best to chill out and definitely don't make any important decisions until the Sun and Mercury are in your sign of Taurus and your first house. On the 22nd, Venus makes a conjunction to Uranus. Now Uranus has been in your sign for some time now, but he's been fairly dormant over the last few months, because from August to the middle of January he was retrograde, so planets work underground, undercover so to speak, when they're retrograde. But now things are out in the open, and Venus is the first of 3 conjunctions in the next week. So what does this mean? Well, it means there can be sudden changes, so you need to be aware of that. Now the thing is, with Uranus, if you don't change along the way, when he catches up with you, he forces change. So you're going to have to change anyway. So the sooner you make changes, the better. Now with Venus, there could be changes here to do with your possessions, or how you feel about things, how attached are you to things. There could be some changes that need to be made here, and also within relationships, desires as well. Is there changes you need to make? If you're unhappy in any area, then you should be making changes. If not, Uranus can force you to do that. With Mercury, it's slightly different now because it's related to the mind. So this is where your mind will be highly active. Sometimes it's hard to sleep when Mercury and Uranus come together, because it's very intense electricity that can flood the mind with all sorts of ideas and excitement. It is a very exciting time, and you can have some amazing discoveries during this time. Uranus is very inventory, so you can invent things and come up with things that could be of great use to you in the future. On the 24th, Chiron, the healing planet, who's in Aries, makes a positive aspect to the moon's nodes. Now this is the north node and the south node, so this is about our past and about our future. Now we've all had a lot to deal with over the past year or so with the pandemic, and there could be wounds associated with this, especially financial wounds, because the nodes are across your financial houses. And now it's time with Chiron in Aries to use the Aries initiative to collectively and personally resolve some of these hurts and some of these wounds, so that we can move forward, learn from the experience and take our knowledge forward. On the 25th, there's a coming together of Mercury and your ruler Venus, which is normally a great thing because it enhances the appreciation of beauty. It's a good time to communicate and have fun and spend time with friends. But unfortunately, they make a square to Saturn, so Saturn's going to put a bit of a dampener on things, and it'll be harder to express your feelings and to communicate. So it may not be the great day that it should. Then on the 27th, there's a full moon. This full moon's in your opposite sign of Scorpio, and when the full moon's in Scorpio, it's about truth and transformation. Now you'll be really affected if you're born between the 22nd of April and the 2nd of May, or if you have a rising sign between 2 and 12. You'll feel this very acutely. Now with the Sun in your sign opposite the full moon, you may need to balance between your needs and the needs of others. It may be that you've been giving a lot recently and you feel it's time that you take some time to do things that you want to do. This is fine, but just make sure you try and keep the balance. On the 29th, you need to be a little bit careful what you say, because it's one of those days when your words can come out far too freely before you even think about what you're going to say, and it could be a day when you're a little bit self-obsessed, so just be careful what you say and be mindful of other people. Then on the 30th, it's a day when we have our 3rd conjunction with Uranus, so this time it's the Sun, so this is going to be a little bit more important and a little bit more involved than the Venus and Mercury ones. If you've been a bit staid of recent times, if you've been a bit boring, this transit's going to wake you up with a bump. The thing about Uranus is Uranus will bring change upon you whether you like it or not. So it's best to make the changes yourself and stay in tune with the energy. If you've made changes recently and you're in tune, then this will pass very well indeed. And you'll probably have some great ideas. You'll feel the electricity of Uranus and it'll be wonderful. If you haven't made changes, if you've been too staid, then it could be that changes are forced upon you. So just look out for that. It's also a day when your mind might be a little bit distracted, so just be careful if you're driving. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If you'd like to leave me a comment, I'll be glad to hear from you.